We are live. Hello,
Hello,
everyone.
everyone.
Thank you for being here. I'm so excited to do some writing and chill with you guys. We have the wonderful Joy. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, my name is Joy. Yep. I have a YouTube channel as well called Write with Joy, where I kind of do similar videos to Anna with like writing vlogs and just talking about writing, reading, all that stuff, storytelling in general. So yeah, do you want me to talk about what project
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
working
Maybe
on?
do a little synopsis or a little vibe of Project
Yeah.
Phoenix.
So Project Phoenix is a project that I'm currently working on. I'm on the second draft, and it is a gothic high fantasy with a romantic subplot. I'm about 40,000 words into the second draft. I had a complete first draft that was 100,000 words. A lot of things are changing in the second draft. It's basically a complete rewrite, but it's also going to be probably substantially longer than 100,000 words this second time around.
Mhm.
I'm getting nervous, but it's going to be good. It's going to be good.
That's so good. And for a little show and tell, would you like to pick something from your writing desk and show the class? As a
Yeah.
little
Yes.
personality or cool thing,
Okay.
yeah?
So something that I like to do, I mean, I primarily right now I'm writing like fiction, like books, that sort of thing. But in the past, I used to write a lot of poetry. Still love poetry dearly.
Mm.
But I actually find it really helpful if I am feeling like I'm in a super like writing rut. I find it super helpful to read a little bit of poetry before my writing session. So I tend to kind of keep a rotation of like 5 to 10 poetry books on my writing desk like at all times, just so if I sit down to write and I'm just like I cannot do this right now,
Mhm.
I pick up a poetry book and I read a poem. So I'll just grab a couple for you.
Ooh.
This right here is American Primitive by Mary Oliver, and this
Mhm.
is Grand Tour by Elisa Gonzalez. And yeah,
Nice.
I honestly these two have been lifesavers for me because they just give the right vibe. Like this one is perfect if
Mhm.
I'm writing setting or nature or anything like that. And this one
Mhm.
just has beautiful word choice. Like I just her diction, I don't understand how perfect someone can be at picking the right word
Aw.
for things. So it's
Aw.
very inspirational for me. So I always have them on hand.
That's so iconic. That's something it's interesting because when I'm in a writing rut, I actually write poetry. I write like a couple
Yeah,
poems and then I jump into my writing. So maybe I
that's so
should try like
fun.
reading because I feel like that's
Mhm,
a means to get inspired to write.
mhm.
When I feel like writing a poem, maybe just like jog your
Yeah,
writing like
like the
muscles.
juices. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
get the
it's
juices
good
flowing.
to warm up your writing voice and that sort of thing. So, like, honestly,
Yeah.
I could see myself because, like, I miss writing poetry. I kind of wanna write it more
Mm.
often, but, the little writing time that I have, I'm just dedicating to writing my books
Yeah.
right now. Yeah.
Mhm, mhm. No, that's so cool. And today I'm gonna be working on Project CY. This is kind of like a high fantasy. It's the first book. It has like angelic elements and also like King Arthur mythology. So it's a fun time, and I'm like I think chapter 6 or chapter 7. So getting into that sort of first arc in the first act. So that's what I've been working on. So maybe comment if you guys would like maybe some of your project names because I feel like project names. Do you have a reason why, Joy, that like Project Phoenix came to you? I
Oh
think
my
you've probably
gosh.
shared this in a video, but
So, I actually don't know if I've ever officially shared it because kind of the inspiration for it is low key a
okay.
spoiler, but not
Okay.
like I don't know, I'm wondering if I should just go ahead and share it because I don't
Oh,
know
you
if I
don't
should
have to.
I
No
know, I know,
pressure.
I know, but, like, it's kind of fun. Um, so, okay, I will say this much
Mhm.
in very broad terms. So, the mythology behind a phoenix is that they essentially, like, they burn up, but then they, like, reincarnate.
Mhm.
Reincarnation is a thing in Project Phoenix.
Mm. That's so
So, as
cool.
is fire. Fire is also a motif that
Mhm.
happens a lot. So, there are
Oh my
no
god.
literal phoenixes, but that is something that happens.
I see. Because I was like, yeah, I was like, instead of dragons, like maybe there's phoenixes. But it's cool to see like it's more of a like a motif, more of a,
Exactly.
and it's
Yeah.
interesting to see how your project name like can be just something simple or it can just be
Yeah.
like something that's like literally like the plot twist or something. Like Project
Yeah.
CY stands for Project Carry You. It's
Mm.
actually inspired by this song called Roadkill.
Mm.
And I just remember listening to it, and that's when I got the idea of the end scene of my book,
Yeah.
where the like this one character is like carrying like her. Oh, I remember said like is carrying someone through like a battlefield
Yeah.
essentially, and it's like really dramatic, and it's just like I love the lyrics to the song as well. But that's like I feel
Yeah.
like I get a lot of my ideas about the very last scene of my book, which is interesting. Do you feel like how do you get your ideas? Is it more
Oh
start,
man.
end, middle, random scenes, vibes?
So much of it is just random, honestly. I actually come up with a lot of my ideas while I'm running because I love to run. I actually ran a
Ooh,
half marathon a couple weeks ago, and
congrats.
like I just enjoy the long distance running. I never thought that I would. I have not been a
Mhm.
lifelong runner. I always hated running, but then something broke in my brain like a year and a half ago, and I decided that I like to run. But I realized that like because I can kind of just listen to music and let my mind wander while I run for like
Mm,
long distances, like I always start thinking about my books and what I'm writing. And I honestly get some of my best ideas. And I like have my eureka moments while I'm running. I don't know why. It just
mm,
like comes to me all of a sudden. It's usually like a plot problem that I've been dwelling on and like didn't know how
wow,
to handle. And then all of a sudden, hey, I'm 3 miles into my run, and all of a sudden, oh, that's how I do that. So
that's so
yeah.
cool.
But
How
I
do you
also
like sorry, how do you write down those ideas? Like, do you have to just remember it for the whole rest of the
um
run?
so just okay, I can imagine somebody just watching me as I'm running down the street. I'll pull out my phone and I'm just like running
This is
and
what
trying to write it down. And I'm like
that's
trying to not
so
trip and I like slow down a little bit. And I'm just like, and then I look back, I have to like decode what my note was because it's
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
so such an absolute mess. But I usually
That's so cool.
write them down feverishly while I'm
While
running,
you're
which is probably not intelligent, but but I have to remember them. So,
exactly. Oh,
yeah.
it was just, like, so bad if you forget,
Oh,
especially I
yeah.
mean, you can maybe try to, like, dictate it, maybe put on the voice app, but if you're listening to
That's
music,
true.
that kind of ruins
Yeah,
the
it's like not the
experience.
vibe, it takes you out of it. So, yeah, I usually am just writing it down, and then when I get home, I look back at the notes, I'm like, "Okay, let's try to write this down in a more, like,
Yeah.
intelligible way." Yep,
Oh, that's
yep.
so cool. I love that. Okay, let's have a look at what everyone's saying. Well, we have
Yeah.
Project Forest.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Sounds magical. This also sounds magical. Project Witch. Um, ooh, therapy. Project Therapy. That's so interesting. Wonder what that one's about. Or Project Depression.
Feel
Sounds really optimistic. I'm kidding. Project Neo Rome is my working
Ooh.
title. Star Wars Arcane Sci-Fi.
Oh, that sounds really fun. Is it like a
Wow.
sci-fi Rome? But I don't know. I mean, I don't know anything
Ooh.
about the project, but like that's fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I love Arcane because Arcane's very like it's set in a world that's not it's like sci-fi, but it's still like in terms of the politics, in terms of like the way that even they dress, it's like
Yeah.
quite that sort of style, like
Mhm.
almost Victorian, I don't know,
Right.
vibe. So that's cool. Um, let's see if there's any Project Moon. I love the idea of the moon. I feel like
Yeah.
if your book has anything to do with the moon, I'm kind of sold.
Yes.
Project Daydream.
Oh, good vibes.
Darkness. That sounds
Oh.
cool. What? Project Circus. I love circus stories. Literally, I read The Night Circus by
Ooh.
who's that by again? I forget. but it was a really good. And I've heard lots about Carnival, I think.
Oh,
Caravel?
Caravel, yeah. I actually
Caravel.
haven't read either of those, but I would like to at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're just so vibey, I feel.
Mhm, mhm.
Um, cool. Project Too Many Ducklings. That's kind of cute.
Yeah.
Project Angel. Ooh, I
Aw.
love angelic, anything to do with
Yeah,
angels.
we need more angel stories.
No, I literally love it. Okay, but we might get into a few questions. Maybe if you guys have any quick questions, and then we'll get into some writing. I'll just get Focus up as you guys pop in some
Good
questions for
idea.
Joy and I. Do you also use Focus? Yeah, I think.
Yes, I
Yeah.
do. Yeah.
How'd you find out about Focus?
I think it was probably just from, like, Brielle or any of, like, the
Yeah,
author tubers that use it, honestly.
totally.
Yeah. Just, like, being in a writing live and I'm like, "Oh, what's this? Oh, this is
No,
wonderful."
it's so aesthetic. I just
It's
love
beautiful. Yeah.
always. Okay, let's see if there's any questions. Da-da-da-da. And if you see any questions too, Joy, just let us
Yeah.
know. I mean, there's a good question about how to start.
Mm.
How to start a novel. I guess this is like from the beginning, so like the seed of an idea. Do you have a particular approach, Joy? Like as
Oh,
soon as you
man.
have that idea?
It's changed so much, like, with every
Yeah.
single project and idea that I've ever had in my life.
Mhm.
Honestly, my best tip is to, um the most important thing is to just start writing. I know that sounds kind of cliche, but for the longest time, I felt like I didn't have a good enough idea to start writing with.
Mhm.
But like a good writer can make any idea work. And honestly, like it's good to not have too much pressure on yourself. Like your first novel that you write, um, it doesn't have to be the one that you publish or like your best work
Mhm.
ever. Like it's
Mhm.
really learning to write and starting something, you just have to start and like get your feet wet and get deeper and deeper into the process. I mean, I definitely would start my novel differently today. Like if I were starting Project Phoenix today, I would start it differently than the way that I did start it. But I don't think that I was ready to start it the way that I would start it now, if that
Yeah.
makes any sense. Like
Yeah.
I had to go through the messy like get into the weeds, get into like the messy process and kind of figure out what works for me. Um,
Mhm.
honestly, because like every single person's brain works so differently. You just kind of have to figure out what works, and you can maybe get some ideas of what might work for you. Like, are you a person that kind of evaluate your own temperament and your own working style in other
Mhm.
areas? Like, do you think you would be more of a pantser or more of a plotter? Like, are you a very structured person? Like, do you think in boxes in a sense, or like,
Yeah.
do you like to see something from a bird's eye view, or do you like to get really into the characters' heads first? Like some
Mhm.
people need to get to know their characters first. Some people prefer to know what their world is before they dive into the character. Some people start with theme, which I will say in the
Yeah.
future, I think that I would maybe have like my idea in general, but then I want to quickly figure out what my theme is or kind of
Mhm.
what I want to say with the story, and then create characters that explore that theme from different angles.
Yeah.
So I think in the
Mhm.
future that's what I'm going to that's my next approach I'm going to do because currently I'm in the problem of like, okay, I have all these characters, but they're all like some of them interrelate nicely with each other, but others like don't. And I don't know, having character conflict because they each have different ideologies or different ways of seeing the world is really helpful when building a story because then the narrative kind of unfolds naturally. So I don't know.
Mm.
I'm going to stop there because I could talk about this forever
Wow.
and just go down a rabbit hole. But those are just some random thoughts. I mean, there are so many different starting points, and every single writer does it differently. And none of those ways are wrong. You just have to find what works
Mhm.
for you. But
Mhm.
those are just some possibilities. I don't
I
know.
love no, I love that sort of very nuanced, like, approach to, like, starting a book, and the fact that it doesn't it's not always clear cut for everybody, or every project that you write. I think it's difficult on like starting on a book. I feel like it's a very laggy process because it's hard to know when you're ready because
Yeah.
it's difficult to have a plot that's completely fleshed out. Sometimes you have to actually just write the book as you go to see it fully, like go full circle. Something that I do when I start my book that I've been actually starting to do a lot is just like intro, and I have a music playlist. I didn't realize
Mm.
how much music influenced and inspired me to write a book. And it's not only to like get me in the headspace, but also to just like trigger me to like start,
Absolutely.
if that makes sense. So whenever I, yeah, want to write this book, I have a particular song. So for Project CY, I actually have a Fine Line by Harry Styles. And whenever I hear that song, like if I hear that song in like a shopping mall, I'm like pulling out my laptop.
Yeah.
It's like a big trigger. So it's
Yeah.
something I've been like incorporating to start my books to kind of have like an identity attached to it. So it also doesn't blend in with your other projects,
Mm.
or blend in with any other sort of book that you've written, to make it sort of your own. But I love what you also said about theme, because that's an interesting. There's some books that I've started to write where I actually don't know what I want to say with the book. And sometimes it's difficult because it would make it a lot easier
Hmm.
to like, in terms of the plot, like, oh, if this happens, then this will create this question for the audience. But I wonder, Joy, do you think every book needs a really clear theme? And do you think like everything in a book needs to contribute to progressing that particular message?
Hmm.
Do you think that's,
That's a really
yeah.
good question. So I'm really torn on this, and this is something that I'm currently wrestling with Project
Mm,
Phoenix because on the one hand, I don't know, I have this deep desire for cohesion where like
mm,
everything is intentional, everything is going like moving in this direction of like one or two or three really distinct themes or topics that I want to explore. So on the one hand, like I am attracted to that idea. On the other hand, I have read books that were definitely way too heavy-handed with it. Um,
mhm,
some stories I think it's okay for them to be, depending on the tone of your story, like it's okay for it to be like a little bit more fun, a little bit, not necessarily focused on like the big like capital T theme. There's a place for stories like that, absolutely. But I think you get into trouble when you don't have any idea of what the
mhm.
theme is, because then you might kind of start contradicting yourself or saying things unintentionally, like if you're not at least thinking about it or taking it into consideration. I think that some people take theme a lot more seriously than others, and again, there's a place for it to just be a fun story, but you
Mhm.
also, yeah, you don't want to accidentally say something you didn't mean to say, if you're not being thoughtful, at least as to like how it's carrying out. um I don't know, but that is something I'm wrestling with because you also want there to be room for like some imperfections and room for
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
contradictions and that sort of thing. The one valuable thing that I'm realizing by starting with theme, or at least having your theme, like some idea of your theme early on, is that it helps you feel more confident in the rest of the choices that you're making, because really
Yeah.
writing is a series of so many choices. I mean, it's infinite, right? In terms of plot, in terms of character, you are constantly making decisions about what's happening, and that can be really exhausting. Like I get decision fatigue while I'm writing because on the one hand, yeah,
Yeah.
it's really fun to
Mhm.
be writing a story, but I'm also making a lot of choices all the time, like all these
Mhm.
little decisions. But at least with a theme, you have some guidance, you have some
Mhm.
guardrails of, okay, you can always ask. It's kind of like, what's the term? Yardstick or something? Like, there's a certain term
Yeah.
for it where
Yeah,
it's like
kind of.
you have something to measure against.
Mm.
Like, every decision that you make, it's like, "Okay, how does this interact with the theme? Does it contradict the theme? Does it go along with the theme?" And I think it's okay to have some decisions that kind of
Yeah.
contradict the theme as a counterexample, but it just helps me feel like I have something to cling to. where I'm like, okay,
Mhm.
at least this is moving in the right direction of what I want to tell.
Mhm.
Because otherwise, I'll wind up all the way over there.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, this would be fun. What if this happened just for fun? And then I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, I have to cut out that whole subplot because that did not really add to what I was trying to say with the story.
Mhm. Mhm.
I don't know. But again, every single person is different. But I'm realizing more and more. I mean, when I started Project Phoenix, I had no idea about the theme. I was not thinking about the theme. But now
Yeah.
I'm kind of regretting not having taken it into more account because I think it would be really helpful. And now I'm kind of undoing a lot of things and redoing things to make it
Yeah.
fit a little bit more. Yeah.
Mhm. No, I think it's definitely a great tool, especially, yeah, as you said, to like guide. Um, and it's kind of just, I think that's the other problem, as you were saying, like it's difficult to know exactly what your theme is while you're still grappling with all these
Yeah.
different things that you want to say in the story and incorporate.
It takes time to
Especially,
identify it.
yeah, and especially like such a clear one main theme. You know, there's obviously sub compartments to it, but that's like it's difficult to identify, especially so early
Mhm.
in your yeah, writing process. But then there's some writers who come up with a theme first and like, I want to write a book that says this. And then that's when everything comes together. But I think there's definitely a balance. I think I appreciate stories that where the author treats characters not as characters, but like
Mhm.
as people,
Yes.
or like plot points as like life, not just these,
Like
uh,
talking points kind of.
yeah, and kind
Mhm.
of just these cogs in the machine to make the theme stand out more. Like I feel like stories go more and like
Mhm.
are more than that. So yeah, but of course it's important to have a theme and important to see how that can, of course, assist you as you're writing a story. So what's the theme of Project Phoenix?
That's what I'm still figuring out.
Oh,
That's why
okay.
I wish that I had it more down pat. Um,
Mhm.
I haven't honestly okay, literally last night, because like this is why I'm thinking about it so much, is that I'm like, okay,
Mm.
in the future, I kind of want this to be a little bit more set in stone before I get started. Because yeah, last night I just wrote. I mean, I just needed
Wow,
some good old fashioned like pen to
I love
paper
it. Mhm.
brainstorming. And this is all last night, just about my characters and the theme and
Wow.
what I was just trying to analyze and break down what I already had going on
Mhm.
with the
Mhm.
story and trying to pull out the threads and be like, okay, what themes am I seeing? When like how could these characters interact? I have ideas for it. I know
Mhm.
it's probably gonna have to do something with kind of like an intersection of how your past haunts you and your fears and like what role does fear play and all of that, potentially madness and obsession. But like those are
Mm.
more general topics. It's not like I'm saying something about them yet. So yeah, it's probably going to be something to do with that, but I haven't like nailed down.
Ooh,
And it changed too, because originally
yeah.
it was going to be more about belonging, but that wasn't really resonating with the book that I was
Mm.
writing at the time. So I was like, well, yeah, I think the past and how the past can come back to haunt you, but also shapes you and kind of all of how the past can affect you in so many different ways. Like that's
Mhm.
definitely going to be a really big piece to it. But again, that's less of a statement and more of a like observation, you know.
Mm.
Um,
Mm.
and I don't know if I'm ready to like make a statement per se, but I'm
Yeah.
exploring those ideas with
Yeah.
the characters. Yeah.
And it's interesting to reflect on in terms of like taking in more an introspective lens to see like why everything in your story, like you came to that particular
Right.
message and what that says about you. It's
Mhm.
interesting because I'm just like you're reflecting on some of the stories I've written and just the themes and just seeing how clearly I
Mhm.
can see myself grappling with those themes like in my own life. So it's so interesting how it comes to light because sometimes you feel like yes, engrossed with your projects, but also sometimes when it comes to fantasy, at least with me, like so far removed from the concept because it's such an other world. Like you're playing like the author, these little puppets. But just seeing like how that flips back on you and just seeing the theme, yeah, call back. It's like a very
Mm.
scary mirror sometimes. So
Yeah. And honestly, I feel like Project Phoenix is definitely not the book that I expected to write in some ways. Like, I don't know. I when I like look at myself, like I've never thought, oh, I'm going to like write kind of a dark story. And it's a little
yeah,
bit, I mean, it's not horribly dark. Like I've read darker for sure, but it's a little bit more, I mean, gothic than I would
yeah,
have kind of expected. Like there's a lot more decay, there's a lot more kind of that haunting and like obsession thing, a little tiny bit of a bit of like psychological horror going on, maybe a little bit more than a tiny bit, but I don't know. But there's
mhm,
also lovable characters and a lot of light too. So it's kind of
yeah,
an interplay of both. But yeah, it is darker than I would have expected. But it's just kind of how it emerged and how my characters emerged and
mm,
the world emerged. And I was just like,
mm,
you know what? I mean, for a while I was actually shying away from making it more gothic, but I was writing it, I was
mm,
like, this is what this story is, and I kind of need
no,
to lean into it, because if
yeah,
I pull back, it's going to be a weaker story.
mm,
So yeah,
mhm. I I really appreciate. Thank you so much for sharing
for
so much about
sure.
productivity. I literally love hearing about writers and like their particular projects and how it's affected like yeah their process as they move forward and stuff. But I think we should get some writing done.
Yes.
It's been over 25 minutes. But no worries. I have starred some of the questions.
Very good.
So we'll get back to them as soon as we come back from writing. I'm just gonna pop on my focus.
Very good.
Go. Add stage. Do we like the pink?
It's so cute.
I hope this works. Do you think 30 minutes is okay? What does everyone think? What's your usual sprint?
Honestly, 30 minutes is pretty standard for me.
I like 30. I feel like 20 is just too short. I feel
Yes.
like
Oh,
once I
yeah.
hit 20 minutes, like the 10 minutes after is like what I need.
Yes, exactly.
Um, okay, so I think 30 minutes is fine. Okay, well, I guess we'll get writing and we'll come back with some other questions. So good luck, everyone.
Sounds good.
Wait, start.
Hello.
Hello. Oh, forgot my mic's over here.
Okay, that truly flew by so fast.
I know, right? That was kind of really quick, but I loved it. How did you go? How many words? How many?
So I was more of in a like revising mode than drafting mode because I I decided to pretty much completely change my magic system. So
Yeah, you did mention.
yeah, I'm done with in general, I'm thinking that Project Phoenix will have 4 parts. So just for reference, I'm pretty much done with the second draft up to the end of part 1. So now I'm going back through part 1 and because I changed the magic system, I just want to make it all correct. So
Yeah.
I got through maybe like 2.5 chapters of just editing some of the exposition, tweaking things, doing a little bit of revision just so that everything is cohesive with the way that I am changing things. So yeah, that
Wow.
was how I spent most of the time. Yep.
Wait, so you're completely changing the magic system or you're just tweaking it?
Um it's close to completely changing. I mean, there's elements of it that are still similar. But most of it, I mean, a lot of it is, yeah, it's different. But I was never very content with the magic system to begin with, like from the time that I started writing
Mm.
Project Phoenix. I always felt like the magic system wasn't quite right. It was a little bit too convoluted. It didn't
Yeah.
really resonate. Like it just felt kind of random. I don't know. I just didn't like it. And so I came up with an idea while I was on vacation, and I was like, "Oh,
Ooh.
what if I try this instead?" And so I kind of was brainstorming a lot about that new magic system, and I think it's correct, or at least it's substantially more correct than the one I had before. So I'm hoping that I
Mm.
don't have to like change it again, but I do think that this is the right magic system for the story. At least I have like most elements of it in place. So yeah. It's
Oh, well,
a
it
bit more
seems
structured.
complicated.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially tweaking like in place of another magic system, kind of
Mhm. So I
seeing how. Hmm.
there's a lot of exposition that I need to tweak and
Mm.
a few characters and a few like
Yeah.
it thankfully, I mean, it impacts the plot a little bit, but the biggest impact to the plot is later on, and I haven't written that
Written
part
it.
yet. So I'm like, okay, at least I don't have to worry about that. But the way that I introduced the magic system initially, in part 1 is different. So I have to go back and
Mm.
change all that. Yeah.
Well, it's crazy and interesting to see how like the magic system is so integrated into the characters and also the
Yeah.
settings
Yeah.
um
It's
and
really
places.
not something that you can always just like slap on there and interchange
No.
of what
Yeah,
you use.
exactly.
It's kind of
Mhm.
woven into like the lore and the characters' experiences and that sort of thing. So,
Mhm. Mhm.
yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Um,
How about for you?
I did okay. Getting back into the project because I've not worked on it for like a couple weeks.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, the characters are kind of like riding across like the. I don't know how to describe it. It's not like the country because that sounds like riding across the US or something, but it's like riding across like um
Is it like wilderness kind of?
yeah, like the
Okay.
wilderness. But it's just like mostly like just expanses of like fields.
Hmm.
And like some little riverines and ravines.
Ravine
Uh,
thing? Yeah.
yeah, and it's interesting because the character sees how like um different the earth looks as they're walking like up,
Mm.
riding up to this kingdom, because where they were it's like quite dead and quite desolate, which like is a really pretty grim view of earth since they've just like descended earth, the angels. So yeah, she's like interested to see how. And even so, like she's more so what do you call it? Fascinated by the messenger who's like leading them. So it's like a man.
Mm,
And just
yeah.
like seeing like how he moves and like the sweat on his like brow and like just it's so different, even though like they look like these like demi angels who the characters like are. They're like completely different. They're from like different realms. So
Mhm.
so interesting. And sorry if you hear vacuuming.
Oh, you're good.
My dad like loves to interrupt me. Okay. But it seems like a lot of people did pretty well, which is
Yeah.
great. Lots of different words. But how about I go to my starred questions? If you guys have any other questions to fill the break, let us know. We have a question from Tia, which seems cool.
Ooh.
I'm curious. Also, it's a bit of an interesting, cool, different question. What's
Yeah.
your longest writing streak?
Okay, I need to pull up my track bear because I don't know off the top of my head.
You have a track, but I've been wanting
Yeah.
to get into that.
But I only started tracking on Trackbear kind of recently, like
Mm-hmm.
since the beginning of this year, maybe.
Oh, cool.
Um, so let me see if I can figure that out. Oh, okay. It says here my longest streak is 9 days, which is not that long.
That's pretty good though. Still, like that's
Yeah.
like every day you've been able to write
Yeah. I feel like I thought it would have been
over a
longer,
week.
but according to Trackbear, which I started tracking the beginning of this year. So I guess since
Yeah.
the beginning of this year, 9 days. Well, although okay, I don't know. I haven't I actually haven't like logged anything in Trackbear the last little bit
Mm.
because I only really log when I'm drafting, not necessarily when I'm like brainstorming.
Yeah.
So if you
Yeah.
count brainstorming and
Yeah. It's a lot
revising more,
probably.
I would say 9 days streak of drafting because
Mm-hmm.
I would say that's the most reliable. But if you're including other things, I actually have no idea because I haven't tracked that.
Yeah.
Uh,
Honestly, I don't know either. I feel like I've
yeah.
been wanting to start tracking I was gonna like start it, but then I just like got hit with like uni and then like
Yeah.
midterms are coming up. So like I just like stopped. But I really want to start like an Excel spreadsheet and be able to
Yeah.
like make my own little graphs and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So I will be starting that hopefully soon. I think I just
Mm.
like need to get into the groove and
Right.
it's difficult because like I've been brainstorming another book and again it's difficult to tell if that's like streak worthy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think I'm like committing to Project CY. It's difficult because the way like projects work for me is I need to get like past the hump of a book,
Mm.
like kind of like past the inciting incident, past kind of the break into two, essentially like halfway until I go to act two, and that's when like everything starts going because I can see act three, if that makes sense. So I think I've just been like slowly, and then hopefully I have faith that I'm just gonna like start. So that's like Project CY. So since I'm getting close, like they're getting to Camelot,
Mm.
then I can actually see the like not the end, but the plot actually starting, and that's like when
Right.
I can start hopefully more consistently writing. But I just kind of thought about NaNoWriMo like I did
Oh,
in
yeah.
2022 when I wrote Project Ghost. That was technically 30 days, but I did skip a day, I think.
Yeah,
And didn't
but yeah,
even
let's count it.
yeah, I don't even know if I even wrote for 30 days, but I finished my goal of writing the book because it was
Yeah.
like a novella, it was like 30,000 words. So I think I wrote for like 3 weeks. I don't know. I
Yeah.
can't remember, but I
I
guess
mean, that's
that.
impressive. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
And I don't know, I would love to do kind of a longer term writing challenge, but I feel like my life has to be in a different place to really do
Yeah,
that.
I know. I just like
Yeah.
I've been so wanting to make writing like a part of my like I was gonna say like a part of my personality, but it kind of already is. But like part of my personality to the extent of like I everything I do is like writing. Like all I want to do is writing,
Mhm.
and like I just talk about my writing all the time,
Yeah, like it's
and
your
I make it,
lifestyle
yeah, I
kind
kind of make it my whole
or yeah,
personality,
yeah,
as like some people do if they work in a particular field. So
yeah.
like when I maybe like with friends, I'll be like, I'm sorry, I gotta go home. I gotta write my
I know.
book. Like
Yeah.
that's like to the extent I want to be committed, where I'm just
Mhm.
always just saying, oh, I need to be writing my book. Like it's an excuse almost. And I think that's why it's interesting is like being an author on a deadline seems something that I can like use in terms of like shaping my mind, my
Mm,
mindset sort of thing to like make it more of something that I can like show up for myself for.
right.
Um and I've been like trying to think about it like that because we're gonna eventually like when we're published, we're gonna eventually have to like be on a
Yeah,
deadline.
yeah,
So may as
totally.
well like practice now and like pretend as if your editor needs the book by this time,
Right.
and that way taking your like streaks and your writing consistently more seriously, I think. um yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, the interesting thing is, if you are thinking of writing as a hobby, I don't know about you, but for me,
Yeah, there's a question.
I almost feel guilty, like, setting aside as much time as I would like to write because,
Hmm.
then that's kind of like, in a sense, like taking away from time with my family or time with my friends or, time working around the house or working my like actual job, like
Hmm.
I love writing so much and I do want it to be at least like in the long term, like I want that to be like the main thing that I'm doing, like I want that to be my job, so to speak, my career, my focus. I mean, I love it so much. Like I want to be a writer. Like I want that to be a big part of my identity and who I
Hmm.
am and I guess
Hmm.
my lifestyle. And I want it to be a big priority in my life. But yeah, when I think of it as a hobby, which right now, since it's not making money per se, like my
Hmm.
brain automatically views it as more of a hobby. Um, yeah, I almost feel guilty setting aside that kind of
Hmm.
time and prioritizing it and making it the excuse, like, "Sorry, I can't do that, I have to write." It almost feels like it's not valid as an excuse when, I mean, in reality, like, if I want it to be a career, like, I kinda have to, like,
Yeah.
start treating it seriously in that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
Hmm.
tough thing that I kinda war with a little bit. One of these days, I don't know, if
Hmm.
I ever get published or, like, I am an author on deadline, I think that that might be easier for me because then it's my job. It's like, I don't
Hmm.
know, but is that us just idolizing productivity as a culture in this world? I mean,
Ooh.
I don't know, where it's like if you're not making
Yeah.
money, it's not worthy of your time, like, I don't
Yeah.
know.
All these
We're
different questions.
we're
That's
getting
why this question by Kai, do you ever suck the joy out
mm,
of writing by making it more like a job than a hobby? Um, I think that's, yeah, something that a lot of writers, especially writers exactly who aren't published yet,
yeah.
making that distinction. And that's why in terms of like word count, I used to think word count was like kind of toxic and like, it's like treating as if like it's the be all end all if you don't write 2,000 words. But on the other side, you can say like, well, it kind of is because if you're not writing the book, how will you ever get it done? Then
Right.
how will you ever get it published? So it's kind of like this balancing act of,
Mhm.
yeah, trying to get writing like, its little corner in your life, but not to the extent that it becomes like yeah, exactly, you suck the joy out of it because it's like a chore.
Mhm.
um and that's like the exactly what you were saying, Joy. I'm just like reiterating like the difficulty of making a passion a job,
Mhm.
which I've always thought about. It's always, yeah, difficult. Mm.
Yeah, I would be really afraid of that happening. I will say if writing ever became a pressure of like, "Okay, I have to write this book or my bills aren't going to get
Mm.
paid,"
Yeah.
that is, like, anxiety inducing to me where it's like, "Oh my gosh." It's so hard because on the one hand, yes, I want to be able to use as much time as possible on my
Hmm.
writing, which in
Hmm.
a sense, like, you need to live, so, like, it'd be helpful if that was your job, it's more efficient in terms of time. But you do enter that danger of if I think the thing that sucks the joy out of it is that pressure of
Yeah.
you need to write to pay the bills. Like you
Mhm.
need to write another book, like, and you're getting a lot of outside pressure from other people rather than it being an intrinsic thing that's pouring out of you.
Mhm.
Because I don't know, there is that balance where, yeah, you can't only ever write when you feel like it, because then you're never gonna finish your book, because like part of writing is showing up to the page even when you don't feel like it.
Mhm.
But at the same time, if you are only ever writing um feeling horrible about it, or like feeling a lot of outside pressure, like, you don't want it to become this burden or this chore. I think
No.
your readers might be able to tell if it's not
Mm.
a story that you're enjoying writing.
Mm.
um so I don't know. That's the hard part
Tricky.
about like monetizing art and monetizing hobbies and all of that. It's like you never have enough time to spend on it, but then if you have to rely on it to pay your bills, then do you really like it anymore? I don't know.
Mm.
It's
Mhm.
hard. It's hard.
Ugh. Yeah. I don't even wanna think about it. That's
Yeah.
it's so stressful. Yeah, like the yeah. Anyways, I think we should move on to another question.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Yep.
Getting too overwhelmed.
Right.
Okay. This is an interesting question by
Ooh.
Sarah. Have you ever needed to shelve a project?
For me, so temporarily, so in general, I have shelved projects. I have
Mhm.
not done any temporary shelving yet.
Mhm.
Because so right now I'm actively working on 2 projects, Project Phoenix and Project Sol, and I have so many ideas for other ones, but I haven't, you know,
Yeah.
started the process on them. I'm just letting them sit back there. Um, and I haven't shelved either of them. Obviously, I'm kind of still working on them. And there were a number of books that I began in middle school and high school, even 1 or 2 in college, where I started the brainstorming process. But yeah, at various points along the process, I shelved each of them. Some of them, like, it was intentionally. I was like, okay, yeah, I'm never actually going to finish this book. I don't like this idea. I don't like where this is going. I'm just gonna be done with it and put it to sleep. With
Mhm.
others, I it was unintentional. I just kind of lost passion for the project, and at this point, I don't see myself ever going back and reviving them.
Mhm.
So I can't say that I've ever shelved a project temporarily. I could see myself doing that in the future, down the road. Now that I feel a little bit more confident in my ability to like finish a draft and finish a project, like I feel like I'm in a better headspace now. I'm a better writer than I've ever been before. Like I'm just
Mhm.
more capable of knowing how to tell a story, and also when to take a break from a story, how to end it, all
Mhm.
that sort of thing. But yeah, I have shelved projects, but not temporarily. That is my
I feel like yeah, that's why this is a cool, interesting question because there is a power to shelving a project and
Mhm.
also a danger
Yeah.
because it gives you the freedom to actively say, okay, this book I'm not going to work on now. But it's also the danger of like, well, then when will you work on it? And I guess temporarily, sometimes that turns into forever. forever. There's been
Mhm.
multiple novels I have indeed shelved temporarily. At least I thought I was gonna do temporarily for various reasons. One that comes to mind is Project Prison, which is like a literary fiction story. I finished the zero
Mm.
draft and I was about to straight work on it and just draft out the first draft because that's quite easy in terms of like what my process looks like. But I got this new idea for Project Orchestra, which is a historical fiction book,
Mm.
and I just completely chose that. And literally, I think about that day so often I because I worked on Project Orchestra like for basically the rest of the half of the year. I did not save Project Prison, and I literally lost the zero draft like manuscript. It
Oh.
must have been
Oh, that's so
30,000 words.
devastating.
So I'm like kicking myself. Like if I just held off a Project Orchestra, then I probably would have had at least the first draft. But then again, when I think about it, I don't think I would have ever worked on Project Orchestra or even written it if I didn't jump at that opportunity. So again, that's like the power of shelving, but also the danger. because I was like, oh, I'll go back to Project Prison. But then that's when I started to work on
Mhm.
Ghost Side again.
Yeah.
And then recently I've shelved temporarily, indeed. I hope this is only temporary. Project BB. Too many project names in my mind. But that's because I was just feeling not the best with the project. I got some feedback, yeah, that was not very encouraging. So I kind of
Mm.
felt this weird relationship with Project BB, and like a really weird sort of like, what's the opposite of hope?
Like despair or like
Like,
discouragement? I don't know.
yeah, sort of like I didn't see the book anymore as my debut, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
So that's like I didn't want to be in that headspace space while I was editing
Right.
for the second draft. So that's why I've shelved it. And now I'm working on Project CY. So that's another fantasy. So it's good that I'm still in the fantasy realm, but a different project. So I think those two instances are interesting to see, like,
Mhm.
that hopefully I will come back to Project BB. I will. I think for sure I will. I find
Mhm.
myself like rereading because I have a
Oh,
friend who's like reading it and he just like sends me like
oh
photos
my
of
goodness.
parts of the book, and I'm literally like, oh my gosh, I want to read that scene again.
Oh, yeah, I'm agreeing with
So it's
that.
just like
Mhm.
you got to remember how to like bring yourself back to a project,
Yeah.
and not like lose it.
Mhm. Yeah.
So
It's so hard to know how to make that decision. Like, it's hard to know, "Okay, am I wanting to shelve this just because I feel like it's hard and, like, I'm in a
mhm,
hard spot in the book, and I'm just
mhm,
feeling discouraged temporarily, or am I shelving it because it's not bringing me joy, and so, like, I wanna do it temporarily so that I can come back to it when I'm in a better headspace?" Or yeah, like, am I shelving this because, like, something about it isn't working and I need space from the project? Or am I shelving it because I just really wanna work on something else? I don't know, it's hard, and I always feel that guilt of, "Okay, well, if I don't finish this project, am I gonna be a person that, like, doesn't finish my books or, like, doesn't finish what I
mm,
started?"
mhm.
You know? But then again, you also need to know, when to not. I think Alyssa in the books just shelved Project Sunshine, was
Yeah,
it?
I saw that thumbnail. I was like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah, I just watched that video,
no.
and she had a really, like, just good discussion about that whole topic
Mhm.
where I'm like, "Oh my gosh," because she brought in, like, the sunk cost fallacy. I'm like, "Girl, you're so right." I don't know, I think there's value in sticking with it and finishing things, but there's also value in knowing when to put something down. Yeah.
Mhm, mhm. That's so good. Such great discussions I feel like we're
Yes,
having.
for sure.
I think we have a few more questions, but maybe we'll get to those when we take the last break before we close. But do you want to do some more writing for another
Go down.
one more writing session?
Let's do it.
I feel like we can make some good progress.
Yes, I've
Hopefully it
got
won't go too fast, but maybe it's a good thing it goes fast.
yes, I know I
I
have
don't know.
so much more, like, magic system tweaking to do.
Oh yeah.
But we'll
Oh
see
well,
how
I
far I can get.
wish you luck, and I wish everyone else luck also on the
Yes, good
stream.
luck,
So
everybody. You got
let's
this.
be productive. Yeah.
Yes. Hi, hi, hi.
Hello. How did you go?
It was good. It was kind of more of the same, where I'm just kind of going back through, revising, making sure some of the vision that I had for the magic system and whatnot is cohesive and makes sense. I only really got through like one chapter this time because it was a chapter that had a lot more exposition in it, so I had to really comb through it and make sure I got everything. And I noticed that there were a couple of sections that I bracketed as well, so I was like, oh,
Oh,
I'll
I have
like
to
try to
write.
find they were like ingredients for a tonic potion
Ooh.
thing. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna take some time to figure out what those ingredients are. Because when I was
That's so
drafting, I was like,
cool.
I can't worry about that right now.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if you'd like to, but I think it would be fun if we share maybe a sentence or two that
Oh,
we
yeah.
were working on.
Here, let me
But
find
I'll give
the
you some time to like have a look. But
yeah.
my writing session was okay. I'm getting to a really exciting part of the book where like the two kind of main characters meet.
I love that.
Because I always love books that have like the characters don't know who they are. It's a kind of a situation where yeah, the characters kind of meet, but they don't know that they're each other yet until
Hmm.
they meet. So they kind of have that little secret-esque interesting
I
thing, like
I am
before they even meet, which is sweet.
so into that. I love, like,
Really?
secret identities and, like, them not knowing
I love
identities,
it.
but, like, they know who each other is in general, but not actually, like, they don't know that that's the
Yeah.
person that they're meeting. Oh my gosh.
Because it's like an interesting because they meet kind of like in a market because they're making their way
Yeah.
through Camelot and Dara is like the main character. She like meets this guy who like gives her something like I think he's playing with some kids or something and that's like literally like and the next time she sees him is like as King Arthur because that was him like within and he's like
That
just such a
oh,
good king
I just love
and
that.
yeah just like seeing him in those contexts she's like what because she's like struggling a little bit with like the humbleness of although she's like a demi-angel she doesn't feel like the need to like expel her authority unlike one of her seconds who's like Cyrus who's one of her like
Mm.
other soldiers who's just demand stuff like we have a right like these are just mere mortals and she's like but look at this King Arthur who literally was playing like in the dirt with these kids and
Mm.
yet he's the king of the kingdom. Anyways, did you have
Oh
anything
my
to
gosh,
share?
I'm still trying to pick which one. I'm like, "Which one do I
It's
wanna share?"
hard to pick,
It's so hard
especially to
'cause, like, I don't
not
wanna
give things away.
exactly, 'cause, like, I don't
Yeah.
want it to be too spoilery, but also I don't wanna pick something that needs, like, way too much context to make any sense.
Uh-huh.
I will have one in just a second, but I really love what you were describing, like, that sort
Thanks.
of vibe and trope, and I don't know, it always makes me so excited to read stuff like that,
Oh my
so
gosh, thanks.
I love
I
it,
love
and I
it.
also love King Arthur. I'm
I
so
love it's just like every like everything like every media that's portrayed him, he's just like such a good, rounded, pure character.
yeah,
So
well, we
I
need
really
characters like that, like a Superman type character almost,
yeah,
where they're just
exactly. I
noble. It's so
love
refreshing. Yeah.
uh-huh, uh-huh.
Yep. Oh gosh. Oh gosh. Okay, hang on. Give me a second.
No, no worries. It's hard to pick.
Honestly, if anyone else in the chat wants to share,
Yeah, please.
just
If you
me
guys have
going through
any
timelines,
yeah.
continue, and that will give me a moment. I don't know, do you have one off the top of your head already?
I do have one. It's kind of like every single chapter I have, it's like a little bit of a kind of like not a prophecy, but something about what the chapter's gonna be, or like it's like the last little thing
Ooh.
that was in my previous chapter was something about like angel curses because that's relevant to like what happened in that chapter. And this is about Camelot. So the little thing at the start of the chapter is like Camelot was a kingdom once built of dead kings. Now it stood like the house of hope, where all that saw its spires opened their mouths and thanked the skies. So
Mm,
a different. It has like it's kind of like foreshadowing the dark history of Camelot and the previous king, which is
mm.
Arthur's dad.
I love.
But like now it's like this bustling, colorful city, and just like seeing that foreshadow is interesting.
Yeah. Okay. So, all right, I think I have like a little section that I can read because this is like something that I was working on a little bit. Um, it's I don't know if it's gonna make any sense out of context. It's a little bit more of a like, I guess like slightly humorous, but almost like slightly dark humor-ish piece. Like I have like a little bit of that scattered throughout. Um, but okay, so it's like there's gonna be like a lot of names and terms, but hopefully it'll be okay.
Cool. I'm excited.
Yes. Okay. Okay. So the person that is speaking, her name is Agna Livia. She's kind of like almost like a mentor figure in a sense, but she's heading up this expedition that is about to go out into the wastes, which is like this like dead, horrible land. Okay. Just for context. So she's the one that's talking, and it's going to be like a little bit. Okay.
Okay.
Once we walk into those gates, you will be under attack by something more insidious than the monsters that dwell these lands, the spirit of madness. The tonic will offer you a buffer against it, but don't get cocky. Use the sense that the good gods gave you. If you sense anything unusual, you let me know first, and for the love of Malorith, do not be like Beetle, who wandered off in the night to hunt down a wraith. Beetle was an inch away from disembowelment. Most of the apprentices murmured in agreement at the mention of Beetle Snag. The poor goblin had been the talk of Fenside Castle for weeks. Ambrose, however, dared to scoff. I think we ought to acknowledge that it was Beetle Snag. He could have disemboweled himself by tripping on his own sword. Yeah.
Oh, well, I love that. That's so bantery.
Yeah, a little bit
It's
of
so
that.
fun. Oh my gosh. I can like already get the vibe of just like the castle and the sort of dynamic between all the other people there and like the waste and ooh. Oh my gosh. That's iconic. I love it. I love it. The banter. So cool.
Yes, fun stuff. It's fun to sprinkle that in sometimes, so it's not all like doom and gloom the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good to have
Yeah.
some light things, especially through dialogue. I feel like that's
Yes.
a
Yeah.
good way to do it. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Of course. Of course.
Fun. We have maybe two last questions to end this to end the stream. We have speaking of dialogue and kind of
Oh,
characters,
yeah.
we have this beautiful question. How do you find it? Like, you find it challenging to differentiate voices between characters?
Do you have anything off the top of your head?
I find that sometimes it is a little bit difficult at the start if you don't know your characters too well. I think I usually just trust the process and trust how my characters grow. I think character voice is something that's really fun to experiment with and see how different you can kind of make it. And just like something I like to do, at least to help not it seem too samey, is to just imagine what your characters notice, and actually notice what characters don't say. So even if you're writing third person, you can still write like monologue lines from that character's POV, in which kind of say like what they really meant. So I really like to see that. I don't even know if this is relevant to the question, but like,
No, it makes sense. Like what
kind
they
of like,
omit and kind of like what they
yeah,
leave to subtext and what they assume
the
the other
subtext, that's what I
characters.
was looking for.
Yeah.
Like seeing that, I think that's a good way to differentiate, because it's easy to say like character voices, like maybe they're both going through the same thing, they're both seeing the same stuff, but it's also like, what do they know differently? What do they value differently? Like, and just see how that the way that you write their voice kind of highlights those things.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, there's like, I feel like there's like two different levels, and I think both of them are definitely valid, but it's good to have like both of them. So like on the one hand, you have more of like the surface level of, okay,
Yeah.
consider, okay, what's their education level even? Like, are they going to be using like big vocabulary words or
Words.
like
Yeah.
smaller, more simpler language? You know, like how old are they? Like, what's their age and their demographic? Like, what's their culture? This might be a little bit easier to do in some ways, you know, for like the real world, because you can look at real world examples. In a secondary world, you kind of have to like make that up a little bit. Like, what, I mean, for example, like Red Rising, for example. I don't know if you've read, I've only read like the original trilogy by Pierce Brown, but like the Reds, like it's like the classic, they use certain curse words and like terminology that's different from like the curse words and terminology of like the upper class, like the golds. So like even at that level, like that can differentiate. So those are like slightly more surface oriented, I guess, voice elements. But then kind of what you were talking about, I think you also need to keep in mind is like how they view the world, like what perspective are they bringing to the table, like, yeah, what things do they notice? Because like a biologist, for example, like if your character is a biologist, like they're going to naturally gravitate towards noticing things about like life science, like maybe it's
Yeah.
like things about the body or things about like the insects or environment around them or something. I don't know. Like they might notice those things versus, I don't know, what's another career? I don't know. An artist might notice it from the lens of like how beautiful it is, and they notice beauty in different ways. Where the artist might be fixated on the color and the composition of a scene. I don't know. Like that. That's just like random examples. That helps me is to really think about where they're coming from, because every single character is going to have an individual set of, yeah, those more surface level markers, I guess,
Yeah.
where it's like the actual words that they're using are easy, but like the content of what they are saying is also going to be influenced by who they are. Even something as simple as like their career or what they know about the world, or like what they tend to spend most of their time thinking about. Yeah, I think all of that just kind of
I
comes
totally
together.
agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's great. I love those examples, especially because it is important. Yeah, the lens in which your characters talk through and like what they value, like an artist versus a biologist, which are quite polar opposites, I'd say. We have another last question, which is about plotting a little bit. So, because I know you want to try to approach maybe Project Soul a little bit more with more plot. So, do you approach it through the 3-act structure, and do you like using that to organize your beats?
So I toyed around with 3-act structure. I mean, I actually was like looking at a bunch of different structural options for even Project Phoenix. I was thinking like, oh, like, do I want to try to like plug and play with some of this stuff and with these plot beats? And I don't know. I think that there is value in it. I think that it can be really helpful, but it can also be really like constricting if it doesn't fit what your story needs to be. So you kind of have to hold it open-handedly. Like I think that most stories, like there are story beats that are contained in the 3-act structure, like the inciting incident, and like different plot points that should happen. You know, like there are beats that should happen in the story, but I don't think that it has to be, I don't know. Like, I don't think that you have to make a template and match it all up. I think a lot of stories do kind of naturally fall into a little bit. I mean, even if you think back to like, I don't know, high school English class or something where they introduce like, oh, you have exposition and then you have the inciting incident, the rising action, you have the climax and falling action. Like most stories, I don't know, seem to naturally have that shape. I don't think it has to be 3-act structure, but it can be really helpful at the same time. I don't think that I'm going I did toy around with 3-act structure a little bit. I think what I prefer is, like mini arcs. I don't know if you've heard of them, but it's basically where, in a sense, you have like a beginning, middle, and end that serves that like builds over time. So it's like, I always have a hard time explaining it, but I've talked about them multiple times where it's more like you have these contained beats that each have a beginning, middle, and end, and like conflict in and of themselves. And then it naturally leads to the next miniature arc of your story, and they get more and more intense. And of course, you have like a central conflict that it's also building up to, but you have momentum because you're using these miniature arcs, which are basically their own miniature 3-act structures all within the
Yeah.
story. So I don't know. It feels like a little bit more of an organic way to look at it, and I think that's how I tend to prefer to look at story. But that's just me. Yeah.
Oh, I think I agree. I like how, yeah, you always take very good nuanced approaches to all these questions, which is good because there's no like a right answer.
There's never a
But
right
personally,
answer.
but I love the 3-act structure. It is difficult because sometimes I use, it depends because sometimes I plot out a book without the 3-act structure. Only just recently have I been kind of using it more as a kind of a, what do you call it? A yardstick? Kind of like measuring,
Yeah.
kind of how these beats line up. I think the 3-act structure is especially good for pacing purposes, I think. And again, what you were saying about the momentum. And that's why it's a good, clear, easy means to see your story, saying this is what happens act 1, act 2, and then finally that's like these 3 beats. So I personally enjoy it. I feel like I used to call myself like a hippie writer, or like I swear I was like, structures, ew, like just write what you want. When now I'm like, look, to some extent, they're tools.
Yes.
I don't think it's like a rule.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a tool. That right?
Yeah.
Dr. Zusso here. But I think that's how I approach 3-act structures, or even I have it somewhere that
like Save the Cat.
Save the Cats over there.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a tool, but not like the rule, if that makes sense. So I like the 3-act structure. I think it's a good way to organize your story, especially when you're plotting, but then that can always derail while you're writing the book. Or vice versa.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, if it's helpful to you, absolutely use it. But like, if you're feeling constrained by it and feel like it's stressing you out because your story doesn't fit the 3-act structure, literally just, that's fine.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Yeah,
it's totally fine. I think that's most of the questions that we have answered, unless there's some commotion. I haven't really been keeping up with the chat.
I know.
Sorry,
there's like a
y'all.
whole separate conversation going on.
Writing kissing scenes? What? Slowborn. I love like this comment. That's so funny.
Yeah, looks like people have been like kind of sharing bits of their stories and like everyone's hyping each other up, which I love to see.
That's so cute. Y'all are so sweet, actually. Oh, so good. Okay, well, I think we'll probably end the writing live. We've been writing and chatting for like 2 hours, which has been like quite productive. Because what's the time there, Joy? Is it 10?
Yeah, for me it's 10:17 p.m.
Oh, that's getting late. Goodness, sorry.
Oh,
Do you
no,
usually sleep like around 10 or 11?
I'm usually a little bit more of a night owl, so like I'll stay up. I mean, granted, I have children that wake me up early in the morning, so like I try to get to bed by like midnight, but naturally, like if I were up to my own devices, I would be up very late every night.
Wow. Yeah, I like to go to bed pretty early, but then again, I like to sleep in. So it's like I just need 10 hours of sleep every night.
Hey, sleeping is great. Honestly, soak up all the sleep you can get.
I know. It's just like the student life. Literally just sleeping in. Anyways, but thank you so much, Joy, for being on this live. And thank you all who were able to come and join.
Thank you for having me.
No, of course. I'll have you again sometime soon. But would you like to tell everyone where to find you? I think I have you comment in the description, the link to Joy's channel. So if you want to subscribe, but maybe just tell everyone where else to find you.
Yes, I post writing vlogs and just bits about my writing journey. Sometimes, writing craft chats and that sort of thing on my writing YouTube channel, which is Write with Joy. And yeah, I also have an Instagram that I'm trying to post on a little bit. I'm not like
Mm.
extremely active, but I'm dabbling. I'm getting there. And that's also Write with Joy, but with an extra Y because Write with Joy was taken.
It's taken.
But it's fine. It's totally fine. It doesn't bother me at all that it doesn't match perfectly.
Just double Y. I know, I hate that when I'm also like someone took Anna New, so it's like
Oh,
an underscore Anna New.
yeah, and it's like, it's fine. It's
It's
fine.
fine, but come on.
I
I don't
know.
know. It's
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, we'll say goodbye to everyone. I hope
Yeah.
you all had a productive time and I hope to see you guys in my next writing live.
Yes.
Bye, everyone. And thanks, Joy,
Bye.
so much.
Oh, absolutely.
Bye.